Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show live. I'm Stephen Brown and we're taking a look at Leeds United and Huddersfield Town in probably what's going to be the first of a few encounters this season. I do predict representing Leeds United. It is Mr. Booker, Jayson Booker, the man himself. Jason, how we doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I'm okay.
Getting there. We're just waiting, aren't we? Thought we'd have some news, didn't we, by now?
I can't believe I'm sat here tonight with not more to talk about really, and kind of plans and whatnot. But yeah, it seems like every introduction we make, I'm all right, but
Yeah.
and then I feel
now it's like getting to the point where I'm like, please, come on. I need some. I mean, I
yeah.
like the fact that they're taking the time, but I'm like, come on.
I think
Pre-season starts soon.
we'll obviously get into it, but yeah,
It just needs to happen, doesn't it?
It's starting to be a bit painful.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's starting to affect me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Representing Huddersfield Town, we've got the Huddersfield Hub, Steven Downes. Steve, how we doing, mate?
Not bad. If Jace hasn't got much to talk about, it's going to be a small podcast, isn't it? What, 2 minutes?
I can spread it out.
and also representing Leeds United is obviously Brownie.
So nice to know. Impartial.
We can say
clearly,
super impartial.
Nice to know it's 2-1 here. Nice to know.
Exactly. Yeah, got to keep it in balance.
That'd have been exceptionally funny if you'd have had a Bradford City shirt on, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Steve, takeover done. Kevin Nagel is the man in charge. You've got a manager in place, Neil Warnock. It's all looking very positive. How do you feel about it all in general now that it's done?
I know, it's most prepared Town's been in about 4 seasons. It's brilliant. We've even got a home fixture this time. It's unbelievable. Yeah. No, takeover's done. There was that one hitch from a government body, and we know how all government bodies work, where they take about 17 years to process one form. So I'm sure it was, it was only the little hits that they were on about. They got it over the line, and yeah, Warnock was announced, and then a week later we had Mr. Nagel, and it's just really exciting, to be honest. We don't obviously know what he's going to say. We're recording this on the Monday, obviously, and his press conference is tomorrow, Tuesday. So lots of important questions need to be asked. Lots of things need to be answered. Obviously, we can go into some of the questions that might need to be asked, and some of them might even be pertinent to sort of your club as well, in terms of Leeds and some of the things that might be connected, which will be fun to discuss. But I'm just excited about what he has to say, to be honest. It's such a new era, a new dawn for the club. We'll just see what comes out of it. But it's nice that Warnock's over the line. Obviously, he's a steady Eddie. He's probably doing his fishing right now somewhere, and with Sharon, and it's all go. We just need a few signings. Danny Ward was new extended contract, which was probably the best open secret going. So not much surprise on the playing front so far. It's a bit slow, but I'm sure Warnock's got a few rabbits to pull out some hats as we get into July. So from me, I'm excited. I'm probably the opposite of you two, which is great.
What's considered success for you this season, Steve? Like, what are you kind of like hoping? Like, obviously in the off season, everybody hopes or kind of have a bit of a flirt for the playoffs or whatever, or go up. But like realistically, what are you kind of hoping for the season?
Realistically, I'm fed up of being yo-yo in between absolute greatness and disaster, to be honest. We finished 14th, I'll be happy. Like 13th, between 9th and 14th, it'll be a sort of a season of
consolidation.
Just stability, and obviously some of the players are sort of them basic championship players, solid championship players that can finish in that position. So gives Kevin chance and the new people like Jacob Edwards to get the feet under the carpet in the desk and make sure that everything's sort of behind the scenes, and gives them a chance to get used to life in Huddersfield and what the club's all about. So to me, it made sense. It always made sense to keep Warnock on, and that is be the realistic answer. Yeah, I just want to consolidate. As you well say, we all hope for playoffs, don't we? If we got in the playoffs and went up, brilliant. But if we don't, and we only finish 9th, I'm not going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
For a manager like Warnock, what happens with recruitment? Because kind of it is old school, and obviously recruitment these days very data driven. How does that work with someone like Warnock? Who's driving the recruitment at the minute? Obviously, we've seen Lee Bromby's left Huddersfield Town. It seemed that he was kind of your main guy in terms of recruitment, certainly managerial choices, etc. But how is that recruitment process working at the moment? Do you think, and especially with the new owner? Because me and Jason, you kind of left scratching your head with Leeds at the minute, going, who's making the decisions? Obviously, it's a little bit clearer than it was. But how is that working at the moment with Warnock staying on?
Yeah, I mean, we had a guy called Josh Marsh who was head of recruitment about 18 months ago. He left to go to Swansea City, and then it was down to Bromby really. We have got obviously every club has got a recruitment team, and they work quite closely with the management, but. To be honest, I think with a manager like Warnock, he will already know the type of people he wants in. I mean, we've been linked with Junior Hoylett quite sort of lengthy in terms of because he's had him at Cardiff before, so he knows what he's all about. Yeah, he's 33 or whatever, and he's getting on a bit now, but he's a solid Championship player still. He won't be an exciting signing, but Town haven't made exciting signings in the last 2 years, to be honest. He likes Tom Lees, Matty Pearson. Even Heilig from Barnsley wasn't a majorly exciting signing, but they're just solid people. And I expect that's the type of player that Warnock will want to sign. So I think he'll have the major say on all players. We do normally, or we have said in Dean Oyle's tenure as chairman, that the manager or head coach has always had the last say on players. But I think particularly when we were in the Premier League, the recruitment staff did seem to have more of a say on, who was coming in and who was leaving. Where I think obviously we've gone back to that more traditional management type role now. And Warnock wouldn't have stayed if he hadn't had some sort of control on what was going on. So I think Warnock has got his hands firmly on the steering wheel with regards to players. He said in his press conference, to be fair, that we don't expect to spend a lot because obviously we find out FFP, you can only spend what the percentage of amount that you bring in as a club. We obviously haven't brought in a lot of money over the last 18 months and we haven't had a lot of money. So that means our percentage of FFP will be very small compared to what you guys have got with your parachute payments. So that does limit the amount of spending we can do. I'm sure that they're coming up with creative ways to spend that money and bring players in that they can. So it'll be interesting to see who we do go for. I think Josh Cromer will be the big one to leave if he does. Sounds like Plymouth and a couple of other clubs that are spending quite big money want to bring him in. So it'll be interesting to see whether he stays. He has been offered a contract, but he's not signed it as of yet. So we'll see. We'll just see, but it's all go at the moment. It's quite interesting, really.
I think the three promoted sides from League One's are dark horses this season, mate. I've been thinking about it a lot, like preparing for Championship, and I think all three of them will be top 12.
Well, I think Plymouth have just signed a guy from FC 20, I think. Could be wrong, a defender. So they are looking around. I think they've also signed a Spanish midfielder, as far as I'm aware. So, not for Plymouth Argyle to be signing Spanish players. It's not really been in their realm for the last 50 years or so, has it? So, yeah, I think they will be experimental with their side. Ipswich, I expect to come back up, and McKenna's a good manager. Let's be honest,
like him,
he's a good
really
manager.
like Kieran McKenna.
So I think he will. The Ipswich will do quite well. Sheffield Wednesday obviously is now unknown because of Darren Moore. I thought that they would have probably done well. I'm not so sure now because he was the man sticking it all together there, and they didn't have that great of a. I know that they got 96 points, but it did show against Peterborough in that playoffs how fragile they can be. I mean, I know that they obviously did what they did. I wouldn't say that they were the best team in the final against Barnsley, myself. So they're the ones that I think if there's going to be a crumble, they're the ones to crumble.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Jason, in terms of Leeds United, obviously we're in a bit of limbo like we have for a while. in terms of what's happening with the squad, it doesn't feel like that can really start to take place at the moment. How concerned are you that this is kind of rumbling on? Where are you at with this whole takeover and the fact that we haven't got a manager yet? What are you thinking? Are you starting to get a bit worried about, getting the pieces put in place? Because it's not too long before pre-season starts, is it?
I literally go up and down and like daily, not even daily, during the day. I'm like this, like I convince myself it's okay. And then I think, well, no, it's not. And then I convince myself again. And like, I have now kind of convinced myself that the 49ers are waiting for the takeover to be ratified before the management announcement comes. It's the only thing that now makes sense. Because the timeline of everything, and I understand keeping it quiet, and I'm all for that. Like I don't want us, to be putting everything out in the public eye for everybody to kind of pick holes in, or maybe catch on to, and the management decision, the manager then goes somewhere else, and all the rest of it that comes by making your news public. We've seen how bad that can be for a club under Radrizzani. So I'm okay with it being kept quiet, but the timeline doesn't make sense now. Like, it should have really been Friday. Then it should have been Sunday. It definitely should have been today. I mean, even the end of last week were too late, really. We're starting to fall behind, but it feels to me now like the waiting for this EFL kind of ratification. And once that drops, I just think all the pieces will start coming out quickly. I think the management decision's already made. Who it is, I don't know. I think it's going to be Farker, but I think it's already made, whoever it is. And the decisions and the outgoings especially are already in motion. And it wouldn't surprise me whether the incomings or some of the incomings are already, the ball's already rolling with the new manager.
Why can't they announce the manager? We've done it with Warnock, where obviously, I know it's a very different situation, don't get me wrong, but the manager's been announced a week before the takeover's been complete. I mean, the takeover could have fallen through. Now with you guys, they were all already in the club. They already own 45%.
I think there's two things with that, Steve. I think the first is that Warnock was already in charge at Huddersfield and he's been kept on. I think that's the one big difference between the two scenarios. And I think the other is that the 49ers want to kind of create this real separation in the chapters, in that it was Radrizzani. At the moment, we know that the change is going to go through, but at the moment, Radrizzani is still the owner of our club, officially, on paper, with the EFL. So I think, I could be wrong, but I think they're wanting it to be a case of new Leeds United, new dawn, here's your new manager, appointed by Parag Marath and the 49ers. Nothing to do with Andrea. That's the only, because you're right, like, why couldn't it be announced? But that's the only kind of thing that I can think of, because it can't be that the decision isn't made. It just can't be. It's going on too long.
I mean, I imagine whoever the manager is has not, Radrizzani's had no decision making in it at all, because he's selling the club. So to me, surely the manager, whoever he is, must be absolutely chomping at the bit to get going and start, because, there's only 9 weeks until the season starts. Most clubs are going back this week for training. I think Town go back 27th. Well, this week, I think that Thursday they're back in.
We go back Sunday.
Yeah, so most of the squad's in. I mean, I don't understand why they can't announce the manager and just get on with it, to be honest, because they're gonna be ratified, aren't they? I mean, I'd be amazed if that deal don't go through now.
The only thing that I can say back to that is that what can't the manager do behind the scenes while not being announced that he can do with being announced? The players are not there. They're not back until Sunday. So there is nothing of benefit to the manager. If I'm totally talking from assumptions here that he is, that the manager has been told, you're the guy, we're just not announcing it to the media. This is your contract, that you are the manager. He can do everything in terms of planning, potential for, putting together names for incomings and outgoings. He can do all of that without having to be known in the public eye as a Leeds United manager. So there's no way, if we don't have a manager in place by the weekend, I will be extremely worried that it's something else that's going on. But until that point,
Do you think the manager has been decided? Though?
I think it has. I think the management decision's already been made. I think the manager, Daniel Farke, Patrick Vieira, whoever it is, has already been told.
And who do you think it is?
I think it's going to be Daniel Farke. I do. From everything that I've kind of read and heard, I think it's going to be Farke.
I've got a sneaky suspicion it'll be Patrick.
It could be. I think it's going to be one of the two.
I'm not just saying it, by the way, I'm not just saying that to send you off on a tangent. I actually think, for some reason, I've got it in my head that they want a big name. Our guy, he wasn't bothered about a big name. He wanted one. He was desperate for Warnock to stay. Absolutely desperate for him because it creates continuity. I think for you guys, Farke's not a big name. He's not. He's a great manager. He's a great manager, but he's not a big name. Patrick is the statement guy, innit?
I just think unless it's completely left wing and it's somebody that we've not heard of yet, because I can see that happening. I think the 49ers are far too desperate's the wrong word, but they will have everything crossed that they can get promotion back this season, because in terms of creating the value that they want to get the dividends out of the club and then eventually sell it, I think the 49ers would intend to sell us within 5 or 6 years from kind of what I can put together. For every year that they're losing the championship, they're losing, I would say, probably £250 million.
Well, every year your parachute payments drop by 20%.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's the overall value of the club as well. They've already said that they want to sell us for, I think it's 1.1 billion or something. So for every year that we're outside, it is outside of the Premier League, they lose opportunity to pump the club with another probably £250 million. If you kind of go on the timeline of 5 or 6 years to sell us. So and that's why I think it's going to be Farke, because he's got the pedigree, he's got the experience of getting teams promoted from the Championship, and not only winning promotion, winning the league. So I think Vieira's just such a risk.
I agree. I totally agree. We're not going to agree on a lot this season, but I totally agree with your synopsis of Vieira. I agree with you when you said that I don't think he did that well at Palace either, to be honest. I mean, you made a good point. I watched your podcast the other night when you went through a Palace squad, and you said the good names that they have. They do have they have exceptional players, and he made them poor. And and with you guys, he's not got them exceptional players. He got good players, but he's not got the Ezes and the Zahas of this world in that Leeds squad as good as what you might think some of them are.
And I think even further to that, Steve, is the rebuild that we're going to have to do, because the players that you're talking of quality for us are likely not going to be with us. Yep. So the job that needs to be done in terms of recruitment and then piecing together the players that do stay, I think he's just way out of his depth. He's
not going to make Ayling and Cooper the players that they were back when you were in the Championship before.
No, I don't think anybody can do that.
No,
to be honest.
no, but Farke would have a analytical and strategical plan for them.
Yeah.
I don't think Vieira would. The interesting thing with Farke is whether Stuart Webber will follow him to Leeds. Obviously, he's now, I think, officially left Norwich. So, obviously, we talked on the podcast, I think, very briefly last time when we were in our group chat about Webber and what he could bring to Leeds. But that will be a major part of the partnership if Farke did come, because they know each other so well.
Yeah.
Have you heard out on Webber? I don't know.
No, I think that's the next chapter in it, because Nick Hammond's in now until October. And that is a short-term contract or whatever that he's kind of signed to get us through the summer, and then we're led to believe that an appointment will be made for a director of football in October for then January winter onwards. So I don't think this management appointment will necessarily be working with the plan to work with Webber, but it would make a lot of sense. He's a Leeds fan as well, is Webber. But then we've also heard links with him going to Spain. So I don't know, and I don't think we will know that until October.
No.
The thing about Webber is he always thinks 4 steps ahead. He's always done that. When he was at us, he always thinks about, right, I built Huddersfield to a Premier League side. I want to go build us something else now.
Yeah,
that's why he left us. He left us for Norwich. He went to them. They got promoted, I think, twice since he's been there, and they've got relegated twice. So he did, he don't want to build them again. That were obvious. He always thinks, what, 2 clubs ahead. He always has done.
Yeah, absolutely. I just like the idea as well. I've got a picture of like Daniel Farker at home playing Football Manager now, just waiting, just chomping at the bit to actually get in there. Can I play it? Can I get in there, please? Steve, new ownership. What are some of the biggest challenges ahead for Kevin Nagel and the club as a whole? What are you kind of looking for them to implement or say? What's kind of the burning issue, would you say, with Town at the moment?
I think it's. I think there's a lot of questions because obviously we've come from an ownership model of which we've had for 14 years, minus the 2 years where Phil Hodgkinson had us, and he's he did what he did with the club and the business fell apart and we all know the rest. Obviously, did well to get the wage budget down from the Premier League years with COVID. And that's probably was his biggest success. And then obviously when his business failed, Dean stepped back in to pay the wages and has controlled the club pretty much since then. So for 14 years, it's been in the hands of 2 Huddersfield Town fans. Now it's in the hands of an American billionaire businessman who, while we know a lot about him.
Is he a billionaire then? Is he an actual billionaire?
Well, unlike the 49ers, where there's probably more concrete sort of figures about what he's worth. I don't think Nagel goes shouting about what he's worth. He's quite he seems to be a bloke that just sort of has got on with things and ignores all the big chat around him and which I quite like, to be fair. His thing at Republic FC, where he's owned that club for a number of years now. They're trying to build a new stadium, £500 million stadium, to get into the MLS, which they haven't been able to do because the MLS franchise, you've got to apply to get in it. It's unlike our league where it's natural promotion and relegation. The MLS doesn't have that, so you've got to apply, and if you don't have the right criteria or they don't feel that you're the right club for that, they don't let you in. And one of the criteria is obviously they need to build a new stadium. At Town, he doesn't have to do that. We've got a stadium that needs a bit of liquor paint and a bit of love. But the John Smith Stadium is only 25 years old. So, it's still okay. And it's the right size for a club like Huddersfield. So the only thing with the stadium is obviously we don't own it. So one of the big issues that he has to solve in his first 12 months is that the club has been trying to get the shares back for the stadium. What the shares are at the moment is the council own 40%, Town own 40%, and the Giants own 20%. So when the Giants play, they get the money. When Town play, they get the money. And obviously when the council get a concert on, like they did with Muse the other weekend, they get the finances from that. Town want the whole of the shares, and then they would rent it to the Giants, and the council bit wouldn't exist. So that is one thing that is majorly sort of needing sorting, and that's not an easy thing to solve by any stretch of the imagination. Lots of people have got their own agendas with that. Obviously, it's a public asset, so they've got to be very careful in how they pitch it because it is something that's in the public domain with the gym, with other things around the stadiums, but it's a community asset as well. So it'll be interesting to see what his plans are about that. The training ground was involved with the deal, so basically the shares from the training ground are already in there. It'll be interesting to see what they develop at the training ground. There was a plan to have more space, more structures at the training ground, bigger gym, swimming pool, that sort of thing. It'll be interesting to see whether he's got anything to do with that in terms of his plans. It's sort of more philosophy things. So, for example, academy. You've got a good academy at Leeds at Thorpe Arch. You've for the last 10 years you've produced fantastic young players that have come out of the Leeds Academy, whether they've gone on to play for Leeds or other EFL clubs. Town went down a B team model in 2017, which is like a Brentford model where basically we try and pick up people from other academies such as Man City, Arsenal, Tottenham, where they haven't quite made it and they come to our academy and then we produce them as players. So he needs to make a decision whether he wants to carry on with that model or whether he wants to go back to the traditional academy model like you guys have. I think, I don't know if I read somewhere that he kind of likes the ability to develop young players from their traditional communities. I think I read that in an article somewhere. So, that might give us a hint of he quite likes the academy model. So that's something to be interested in, to see what he has to say about as well. So, and then the other thing is how he interacts with the fan base. I imagine it'll be very different to you guys. I don't know what the 49ers plans are to sort of interact with Leeds fans on a general basis, but Kevin's been quite vocal on Twitter. Obviously, he's very, been interacting with supporters, even for a couple of months, really, to say that the deal had only just started. He was already interacting with fans on Twitter. Dean Hoyle had this ability to call fans forums and calm the waters when things weren't going well, and celebrate good times when things were going well. So it'd be interesting to see whether Kevin continues that as well, because I'd like to hope that he will, meet with fans on a even if it's not on a regular basis like Dean could. But it'd be nice if he held a fans forum every season. That'd be brilliant. I think that'd be, and that's the kind of thing that Huddersfield Town fans like. We want to be connected to our ownership. We want to ask questions. We want to be involved in decisions. We don't want to be one of these, have an owner that doesn't come to any games or comes every 3 years. That's not what we're about as a fan base, and that's what the club's never been about, going back in its whole history. So I think that's where our two situations are quite interesting, really, because you guys have got American owners. We've now got American owners. Half the bloody Premier League's got American owners, and they're all very different. Whether Todd Bowley spends 600 million or we've got Mr. Nagel, who we don't know really what we're going to get yet. So, those are sort of a summary of the bigger questions. But yeah, I think from an academy standpoint and things like that, women's team obviously as well. That's a big thing at the moment. And it'd be good to maybe get your lads' thoughts on, some of them things as well from a Leeds standpoint, but also maybe, looking at Town from an outside point of view.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at the two clubs as well, it's funny how it's kind of working out, because it's very similar situations in a lot of ways, but completely different expectations and whole vibe around the club at the moment. I think just by listening to us now for the last half an hour, whatever we've been on, you can tell we're in two different places, even though we've got a lot of similarities. It's interesting with the communication stuff as well, because obviously, Jason, we've been used to this kind of erratic communication from the club under Radrazani's ownership. How do you think the 49ers will go down? It seems to be pretty much watertight. I've only seen one tweet where it was Larry Nance, who's one of the investors, one of the smaller investors. He had a nibble back when someone kind of criticised getting Patrick Vieira, and that's the only one that I've seen that I'm like, oh, that slipped through. That slipped through. But it's going to be fascinating. Would you be happy if it's just kind of continues like this, where there's very little kind of interaction? Or, I mean, it feels like it will be the polar opposite to kind of what Kevin Nagel's doing on Twitter, for example.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, I think we've had years, haven't we, now? Years and years, not just under Rads, of the polar opposite of just a professional organisation doing it in the right way. Before Rads, and he was such an ego monster. Like, he did some good stuff for us. And I said this on a previous, pod, that he would have been, and Orta for that matter, would have been so much better regarded if they'd have just done everything that they did, but kept their mouth shut. Like, we could accept some failings and some mistakes. Like, no recruitment team gets it right all the time. Not a single one. Like, even the best in the world get it wrong sometimes. So, we could have accepted that. So I think for us, we will definitely see a very different model of that going forward. Before Radrazani, we had Cellino, who had far too much to say and do, didn't he? He was involved way too often. GFH and the whole complications that came with that. Before that, we had Bates. I mean, my word, we've had some of the absolute worst of the worst dross, haven't we? So for me, it'll be a nice change, and I'm all right with it. Like, it's just this in-between space that's the problem. We're all losing our minds because we've had to suffer relegation, which is bad enough, and now we for some of us that live and breathe Leeds United, right now we are literally left out in the open with no idea what's going to happen. Like we don't have a clue what our team's going to look like, and we're hearing everything, with regards to these clauses that are put into contracts. And while I can justify and agree with some of them and understand some of them, I'm sure we'll talk about some of them shortly. It's still really unnerving is the word I'd probably use, because we don't have a clue what's going to happen. We don't have a clue what the state of our team is going to look like. And this is why I was so quick to say, before we even knew this with regards to the loans, people expecting just to come down to the Championship and romp this league because we're going to have the X, Y, and Z player that will stay and all the rest of it. They're so far wide of the mark. Like, there's a chance that we might go up as champions. Of course there is. Like, we've got parachute payments. We're going to recruit some players. Of course there's a chance for that. But even people saying, oh, well, Burnley did it. Burnley went through similar kind of thing. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Nobody's romping this league. No, nobody.
I agree.
No. Nobody's right. Last year was a terrible Championship, really. If you look at it, it was a very poor standard. Quality was one of the worst, really, for a number of years. And although Burnley did great in what they did, their style and whatever worked. But nobody's romping this year. I don't care how good you are.
I agree. I mean, I still don't think it's as strong as when we went up. I don't. I think the Championship, the season before we got promoted and the season we did get promoted, was probably the strongest I've ever seen it. And I don't think it's as strong as that. But I'd absolutely agree with you, because I think Leicester are going to be... Leicester are going to find it tough, similar to us. And I think everybody that kind of was in and around last year will have upped another 10, 15, 20%. I think Southampton, if I had to bet on somebody to win the league, I'd bet on Southampton. Yeah. Southampton would be my choice. I think they're the most ready for their squad is the most ready, that have obviously got some Premier League quality. They've got good youngsters. They've got a good manager in charge now who's going to just pass teams to death this season with possession.
Well, that's all he does. I know. They don't go anywhere. They don't go past halfway. He has 98% possession and about 2% in box, and that's
I think some of the players that they're going to be able to keep hold of it are going to be too good for this league.
If he keeps James Ward-Prowse, that is a masterstroke. He'll be the best player in the Championship by miles.
I think there's a chance he could stay, because I don't think anybody's going to be prepared to pay the money that they want for him.
What did they say? 50 million or something?
Yeah,
but he's worth that. He's worth that.
I don't think he's worth that. I think James Ward-Prowse is a top-level Championship player without the set pieces. That's my personal take on James Ward-Prowse. Like, I think he's a very ordinary midfielder who, if you take away the set pieces, what would you really talk? Is he good at tackling? No. His passing range is good, but that's kind of dead ball-y anyway. Does he score loads of goals without his set pieces? No.
But he's not that type of player, though. He's not an attacking midfielder, is he?
Yeah, but
he's a holding centre mid that controls the tempo of the game. How many games did Southampton keep in just because of him last year?
Sure. He's a deep lying playmaker. I get it. I understand what you mean. But if you were to compare him to other players that also do deep lying playmaking roles, I don't think often you would take James Ward-Prowse, especially at his age. Like, if he were 23, 24, I could understand it. It'd be a potential investment for how he would improve. But I think there's a reason that no big team's taken a punt on him over the years and they've gone elsewhere.
I am amazed the biggest disagreement so far is on James Ward-Prowse on a Huddersfield Town and Leeds United video. I'm shocked.
But it is a good point.
I want to thank everyone for your comments as well. We'll get.
I've seen Adam's. I've seen it, Adam.
Thank you very much for your comments, guys. Also, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Gail, can you imagine Huddersfield with Warnock going up and we don't? Typical Leeds. That is the fear. That is the fear, Gail, isn't it? Really,
it's not a fear.
It is. It is for us as Leeds fans, definitely. Rich Shaw, our resident Everton fan, Rich Shaw. Thanks for joining us, mate. Let us know how you feel about Everton at the situation, because that just seems like a crazy situation, to be honest. Adam, I'm not sure why Wednesday and Plymouth will be top 12, and they either have good Championship teams, in my opinion. So disagreeing with you guys there, I think promoted teams may be doing it.
Wednesday are a possible shout for not, and I can understand that. I think Plymouth have got something real bit. I mean, I don't know how much League One football you watch. Like I do try and stay in touch with it because I'm obsessed with football. But I think Plymouth will be strong. I think Ipswich will be strong. I think they will. You know, like you ride the crest of a wave sometimes as well when you come up from League One.
100%.
Momentum's massive in football, and that's why the relegated teams quite often can struggle unless you have a real culture shift, like Burnley did last year. But I think they'll be up there, and I think what Steve said about Wednesday. I think if Darren Moore had stayed there, they'd have been comfortable survivors for me. I think they'd have been in and around 10th to 15th. Yeah, no danger.
I think Wednesday would have definitely survived with Darren Moore. I don't think they'd have been above 10th personally, because again, I don't know if their squad's good enough. And what I really like at Plymouth is the guys stayed loyal at Plymouth, a bit like McKenna at Ipswich, hasn't jumped.
Stephen Schumacher, isn't it?
Yeah, Stephen Schumacher. Warnock said he praised Schumacher to the hilt in some of his last press conferences that he's done. I mean, obviously stays in touch with Plymouth quite a lot because he lives down there, and we've got them on the first day of the season down at home park. So it will be interesting to see how they start the season. Hopefully we can win down there, but I'm expecting a very tough game. I mean, they will be up for it no end, because that's the sort of game they'll have been relishing.
He's done some job. He's done some job because he came in after the manager who went to Preston. I forget his name.
What's his name?
Ryan Lowe.
That's it. Yeah.
Because they were flying, weren't they, when he took over, and then they had a little bit of a dip. I think they lost in the playoffs, and then to come back and again bounce on the second season. I think he's done a hell of a job, Stephen, in his first role as a first team manager properly as well. I think. Were he at Bury?
Yeah. It might have been at Bury or Morecambe or something like that. But he Plymouth's been up there quite a number of seasons actually for League One. They've been looking to get up for a number of years, but it's always been your Charltons or your that sort of thing that have always been ahead of them, really, Barnsley and that. So it was obviously their time. They had a wonderful campaign, and so did Ipswich. I was so impressed with Ipswich, really. I mean, they were the type of team when they went down from the Championship, you thought you'd not really see them for another decade or two, really, back in the top two flights. But they've found a manager that has just got them straight away and built a real team there. So, no, I agree. I think that if they're the two really that could create proper waves this year. I think just because Wednesday's lost more now, I just don't see them being as competitive altogether as what they could have been.
How did we get to that point, Steve? I can't remember.
Yeah. One of the comments. Christopher Bell, show contributor. Super Kevin Nagel's Terrier Army. That's from Lincoln supporting Chris Bell there. Lovely stuff. Disabled team. I spoke to a West Ham fan who's a good friend of ours, and he said he will pick Vieira over Farke every day of the week. But a West Ham fan, is that the best judge of that situation? Not too sure about that, to be honest. Let's see what else we've got. Skip. If we hopefully get Farke in, there may be a possibility of getting Max Aarons. His contract runs out next year. Yeah, he's one of them. He was a bit of a wonder kid, wasn't he, Max Aarons? And it's kind of tailed off. He was linked with Barcelona and all sorts, wasn't he?
He's a decent player. I just think it's an easy link right now because of Farke. But I could see him maybe wanting him, and he'd definitely improve as a right back. It depends on what happens with Cody, doesn't it?
Might get Pookie back. He's on a free in here, Pookie.
Yeah.
I think it's about
Don't set Jason off on Pookie. I saw Jason's little Twitter interaction about Pookie the other day.
No,
somebody tried telling me that Timo Pukki was leagues above the Championship. So when you say leagues above the Championship, well, that means he's better than a top 10 Premier League striker. So he was trying to say to me, like, he's a Champions League striker. Like,
no, he's not. No, he's not. But I think he would be a handy player at our level again.
Of course,
I'd take him at town. I'd take him at town.
I said about Timo Pukki that he's the same as Dwight Gale. Too good for the Championship, not quite good enough to stay in the Premier League. That is 100%. Timo Pukki to a T.
Same as Jordan Rhodes 5-6 years ago.
Naki Wells would maybe even put in that kind of package for a couple of years
Bamford.
as well.
I put Bamford in there.
Maybe.
I put Bamford in there.
Assombalonga, he's another one I can think
He's
of.
going to Saudi. He's doing well now. He's getting his big move to Saudi, isn't he?
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, lads. If it keeps going, we'll get a move to Saudi eventually.
Well, do you know what? We could do a YouTube channel for Saudi Arabia.
I'd do it for a couple of years for that money.
Yeah, somebody
Yes,
wants to pay us 500 grand each. I'll move out to Saudi tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Brownie. I'm just going to say on Vieira, because I can see disabled him come back about the West Ham fans coach. I'm not like knocking anybody's opinion. What I'd ask you to kind of base it on is just facts. Like, look at what we actually have. Forget the vibes. Like, if Patrick Vieira was a League Two footballer, right, you would not be dressing him up the same as what we had, or as what some people try to do now. Like, 100%. What he has displayed is pretty dross, really, at Premier League level. He finished off 1 point better off than Roy Hodgson did the year before when he was brought in to improve them. The second the wheels fell off, he detracted into a super negative manager, playing super negative tactics. Went 5 games without a shot on target, guys, in the Premier League with that attacking front line. Right? He's got no championship experience at all. Yep. He failed in Ligue 1. And he failed. Well, he didn't fail in the MLS, but he did an okay job in the MLS. In what world does, on that basis, make him more qualified than Daniel Farke, who's won the championship twice and played really good football? Forget what he's done at the Premier League. We're not in the Premier League. Right?
I'm getting sick and tired of
these.
I'm getting sick and tired of these ex-footballers that, because they've got a big reputation, think that they should have the biggest jobs, and that's why, whether you like him or not. And by the way, I'm not his biggest fan. I quite had a little bit, a very tiny 1% respect for Joey Barton because he went to Fleetwood. And I know what people are going to say. Well, he's not Patrick Vieira, he's not Gerrard. He was still a Premier League footballer for a number of years.
You're spot on. You're absolutely spot
on. Company's gone to. He did a bit of a. He did all right at Anderlecht. Wouldn't say he did amazing. He did all right. Gone to Burnley. You would have never thought Vincent Kompany would have been manager of Burnley Football Club 5 years ago.
Players don't just fall into management positions. You know, the exception doesn't then, argue the case for the rule. Mikel Arteta, as an example, is an exception to the rule. He's shown that he's capable of managing players to a top level and getting them to play really good football. And Arsenal deserve a lot of praise for sticking by him when they could have easily sacked him.
But he did study under the best manager on the planet.
I was just going to say that, yeah. And Arsenal took a big punt, but that's not the norm. It's really, really not the norm. Like, these managers go away and they build their experience and their profiles and their tactics. They're able to risk and gamble things at lower levels. Jurgen Klopp came through before he got Dortmund at lower level. Yeah. He was able to trial and error things when it didn't matter as much. And eventually gets a top job like at Liverpool, and that's the way that these managers work. They don't just go in at the top. And that's why these guys are coming in, Lampards, Gerrards, Vieiras, they're coming in, they're having an instant reaction because of the player that they were, because players do see that. But then once that becomes the norm, it wears off and they're left with their lack of talent as a coach and as a tactician.
Explain to me how Frank Lampard has got a better managerial mind than what Steve Schumacher has.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Lampard couldn't have gone to Plymouth and won the league by over 100 points in League One. Wouldn't have happened because he hasn't got the manager. Yes, players might play. Lampard might have walked into Plymouth right on day one of the season, and the players might have gone, "Wow, it's Frank Lampard managing us." That lasts for about 6 weeks. And then when there's no plan, there's no tactical, strategical plan, then players get very disingenuous with it. They get bored of it. They can't see a way forward, and that's when it all falls apart. And that's what you have with these big name footballers who think they can just step into a club and their reputation will make them a great manager. It doesn't work. Yeah. Look at all the great managers there's ever been. How many of them have been world-class footballers? Fergie won a world-class footballer. Bob Paisley won. Bill Shankly won. Jock Stein won. Don Revie won.
Jose Mourinho.
Don Revie was a top player. He was a top player, was Revie. I disagree with that one.
yeah.
So he did the Revy plan at Man City, and it was like revolutionary.
Yeah. All right, okay, but like Brian Clough scored 256 goals for Sunderland. Nobody had heard of him before he went to Derby, really, properly. If you, there's not many, would you? You wouldn't.
No,
especially not in the modern day. Like
in the modern day, that's what I'm saying. But again, you look at Warnock's a great example. I'm not saying that because I'm a Town fan. I said that before he even come to manage our club for the second time. 8 promotions, and I think his biggest club that he played for, I don't know, might have been Hartlepool.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
You could back and forward this with loads of different examples, but the point is more the experience. Because, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, whoever, like they could probably turn into be good managers, but there has to be a pathway to the top level. Like, you can't. Same goes for players. If you don't have the ability to do it, you don't just get in the reputation of what you did in the past. Like, it don't work like that. And this is the thing with managers. And I think for Leeds, it's made doubly worse by the fact that we were able to employ Bielsa in the Championship. The Leeds fans have this kind of idea and this perspective on the whole that we're going to be able to go out and get that caliber of manager or every time. Yeah. We are a Championship club again, and we have to. we have to understand that and deal with it in the proper way.
It'll be interesting to see how the guy gets on with Bournemouth. That could have come to you guys if you'd have stayed up. I'm very interested to see how they.
Iriola.
Well, here we go. Yeah, this is. Sorry, Steve. You continue.
No, go on.
No, we were just going to say because this comment caught the eye. So, Adam, anyone else think Jayson looks like a young Simon Grayson? Right. Okay.
I'll take the young. Like.
Yeah,
because he's got a little bit scaly over the last couple of years, hasn't it?
I just want to say, Adam, I am clinically blind, and I wouldn't say that he looks like Simon Grayson. But no offense to you, Adam. Great comment.
Again, I'm just picking out the disabled team's comment there about Bielsa didn't have Championship experience, neither did Company, but they are exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, David Wagner.
Yeah, like there is exceptions to the rule, but they're both far left. I mean, Bielsa's a one of a kind, right? And
what we're saying, gang, is this Jayson, young Simon Grayson?
You got shot top of his head. You've got top of his head off.
Hang on, let me try and find.
He started balding after he were at Huddersfield.
I was going to say you need to get. There we go. There he is at Sunderland.
Stop it.
That's at Town, that one.
I'm not having this.
He's had a few different looks, hasn't he, to be fair?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Look at that one at Coventry. Is that Coventry, that one?
Could get in a boy band there. No, it's a Villa, that.
Is it Villa? With
Villa.
Umbrella?
Yeah, Villa.
How old is Grayson now?
50?
Oh, he got to be 50. Yeah. I thought he would treat absolutely horrendously at Sunderland. If you've ever watched that Sunderland till I died.
Yeah.
That supporters thing where they went into that bar and they just ripped him to shreds. I felt like he's not the favourite Town manager I've ever had, but my God, they ripped him to shreds.
I will always have fond memories of Grayson. He's a top manager for us. Like, in terms of what he did for us, took us out of League One, 7th in his first season back. Like, he got it. He was a Leeds fan as well. And yeah, like, I liked his time. And, that time before, like, the Bielsa promotion team was the last time that I actually really enjoyed watching Leeds. With the team that we had players that we kind of could love again and all the rest of it. So, yeah, fond of Grayson.
Do you not think that football management's turned a little bit? Like Grayson, Mowbray, they're the ones that went round every club. But now you just like, it's just changed so much, hasn't it?
I just don't know if that's just natural evolution. Like, I think if you go back 20 years, did that happen with the managers that were their age? Then I don't know because I was younger, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's just a natural evolution. Teams are taking risks on younger managers. They want to play a certain style of football and all the rest of it. So maybe.
Lovely. Okay, so we're going to go for something a little bit different now, guys. So strap yourself in.
What is this? Is it a quiz show? Jace, did you know about this?
I had no idea. You didn't prepare me for this.
Right, I've dropped this in. I've had salmon tonight, so I've had fish.
Oh, there you go. So this is how it's going to work.
Oh my
So
word.
it's the West Yorkshire Football Show quiz. It's all about Leeds and Huddersfield, except with a twist. Jason, you're going to answer the Huddersfield Town questions.
Oh,
If you get them right,
Oh.
if you get them right, you get 2 points. If you can't answer it or you get it wrong, it goes to Steve, and he'll get 1 point.
Okay.
Steve, you're going to answer the Leeds United questions. You get it right, you get 2 points. If you don't answer it or you don't get it right, it goes to Jason, and he can get a point.
This will be good to see who got the better football knowledge. This is
Yes.
interesting.
Are we ready,
Rival
gentlemen?
knowledge.
Are we ready? First question to you, Jason.
Okay, I'm ready.
What year were Huddersfield Town founded?
Oh, this one again. These came up the other week.
He's got to get it spot on as well. You can't give him
Yeah,
1 to 2 years out. Come on.
Oh, you did mention it the other day as well.
Did I?
1905.
Steve, do you want to put him out of his misery?
It's 1908, mate.
No, that's wrong.
No, it's not.
I'm joking. Yeah.
Not even that. Brownie, if you're going to do that, like, do it on a question that I probably
No, I promise. I'll
You should give me a point for that. I was
I'll be
close.
here. Yeah,
No, you weren't, Jace. You were 4 years out. 3 years
Right,
out.
3
let's
years
have a
out.
look. Let me get my thing so I can see
What
this.
happens in 3 years?
Steve, Mr. Downes, are you ready? Leeds United's record attendance was on the 15th of March, 1967, but against who? Manchester City, Sunderland, or Celtic?
19 what? 67?
Yeah.
I was Celtic because they were European champions that year, I believe. No.
Jason, I know it makes it easier because it cuts the options down, but what are you saying?
I believe it. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's Sunderland. Before you...
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Before you said the answers, I thought it was Sunderland. So
Yeah.
I feel quite vindicated on that one.
Good stuff. Oh, Jason, how many FA Cups have Huddersfield Town won?
Even won one.
What's your answer? Is it 0?
No. Because I know you were successful about 70 years ago. So
Yeah, but we might not have won an FA Cup.
no, I think you have.
We've won the league 3 times in a row, but we might not have won an FA Cup.
Might be a question later on. What are you saying? What are you saying, Jason?
I'm going to say once.
Oh, yes, 2 points.
Yeah, let's go. A
Well
little bit of a
done.
guess.
2 points.
Educated guess.
Stuff. Steve, Leeds United's record win came against Lynn Oslo in 1969. Most of these questions are around the 60s and 70s. Sorry.
Jesus Christ. Hang on.
But
That was the
their
easiest last
record-
question for him, and you're asking me about bloody attendances in 1967. How rigged is this quiz?
I know you're a football encyclopedia, mate. I know you can handle these.
Not on attendances.
Leeds United's record win 10-0, 12-2, or 9-1.
Against who?
Lynn Oslo in 1969.
Who are they? Norwegian champions or something?
Probably.
10-0, 9-1 or 12-2.
Yeah.
Let's just go 12-2 because it'll be something daft for it.
Oh, no, not quite.
Is
Jace,
it
what do you
9-1?
think, mate?
9. It's a 9-1, I think.
Nope.
Oh.
10-0.
Oh.
10-0.
shit.
Yeah, 10-0.
I didn't know.
Please ask
Jace-
Jace who we lost to. Who our
You like
maximum
this one?
loss was.
Well, this is more in the vein of this. So Huddersfield Town reached the top flight in 2017-18 season. Prior to that, when was the last time the Terriers played in the top division? Was it the 74-75 season, 81-82 season, or 71-72 season?
Oh my god. Steve thought we were going to get jibbed then, and then he heard the rest of the question. What? Oh god. What were the 270s one again?
So you had either 74-75 or 71-72.
71-72.
Oh, he's done it. He's done it. Spot on. Did you know that one, Steve?
Yeah. I've spoken to loads of the players that played on in that team. Good team, though.
Let's see. There you go. Right.
Educated guess again, because I knew it weren't the 80s.
Let's have a look. So, Steve, who is Leeds United's all-time most capped international player? Billy Bremner, Lucas Radebe, or Gary Speed?
That's a good question. I hope everybody's playing along. Whoever is to watch
Made the
it.
countdown theme, don't I know?
I'll go the middle one because the other two are one's Scottish and one's Welsh.
Well done, Lucas Radaby. Yeah, 2 points.
Scotland only made.
I was
about
surprised actually. I thought it was going to be one of the Revilots.
They didn't play as many games back then though internationally.
When I thought about it, actually, I was like, no, they don't, do they? No.
It ain't by much though, because Radaby didn't play as many times as you'd think because he had a lot of injuries.
Can he speak? Can't play much, can he?
40 odd times, 50 odd times.
Yeah, a lot won it for Wales. Who were committed, wasn't it? Jason, who is Huddersfield Town's all-time top scorer? Jimmy Glazard, Andy Booth, remember him, or George Brown?
I sold a sofa at Andy Booth. That's a true story. Yeah, he came into Huddersfield shop years ago. Anyway, it ain't going to be Andy Booth. I wouldn't have thought. What were the other two answers?
So you got Jimmy Glazard or George Brown.
I have no idea, to be honest. Jimmy?
Oh, no, unfortunately not. Steve, put us out of his misery.
George Brown.
It is.
Andy Booth.
Andy Booth got 150 goals, wasn't it?
Andy Booth scored 150 goals, and his last one was away at Leyton Orient Football Club in 2009. No.
What, lad?
2008, I think.
Are you keeping points here, by the way, Brown?
I am. Yeah.
What's the score?
What is the score? So I think Jason's winning by 1 point so far.
Oh, because of that FA Cup question that was absolute.
Yeah. Plenty more like that from where that came. Trust me. You'll love this one as well, Steve. Leeds United reached the 1975 European Cup final. Who did they play? Juventus, Barcelona, or Bayern Munich?
That's easy.
Well,
we'll find out.
I think. I'm not sure.
You can't get this one wrong, Steve.
I think, didn't they play Bayern Munich?
They did. Yes, 2 points, Steve.
That's super easy.
Hang on, you got an FA Cup question. Hang on. You're balanced out there, lad.
You need to now give me like who scored the goal at the Gal Farm when Huddersfield beat Leeds, like something like that.
You need to give Jace a question of who was the referee when Town won the league in. Or the Yorkshire.
Well, if Jason was listening earlier, you may have given the answer to a few questions. So,
if it's 3, fair enough.
Yeah. Jason, who has the most appearances for Huddersfield Town? Billy Smith, Tom Wilson, or Vic Metcalfe?
Oh my word! Tell me the names again.
Billy Smith, Tom Wilson, or Vic Metcalfe.
Like it means out to you, Jay. Bloody hell. Come
Vic
on.
Metcalfe.
No. Steve?
No. Third one was what?
So you got Billy Smith, Tom Wilson, or Vic Metcalfe.
Tommy.
Oh, do you know what? I've just realised I ain't been given points, have I, for when the other person's got it right? Right, I'll add. You knew the Bayern Munich one, so we'll give you that. And Steve knew the other one.
So,
probably.
So it was Vic Metcalfe, which obviously is Tommy Wilson or who? Sorry, say again.
Billy Smith.
I think it's Billy Smith.
It is Billy Smith.
Because Tommy Wilson's medals have just been sold. Kevin Nagel's bought them all. Hopefully, we're going to put them in the thing that we have at the top of the stand.
I can't lie. I'd not heard of any of them three.
Each medal's gone for £15,000, lads.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of money.
There you go.
And Billy Smith, I talked to Billy Smith's great grandson for an article for the Hub.
Is that right?
Released the kit the other year. Yeah, he was a proud man to play for Huddersfield Town, and he refused to play for us because he wanted a higher wage in the 50s, and it was about like a tuppence to play for us. And he refused to pay, so we paid him a bit more.
Right, question number 10. Steve, who did Leeds United pip to the title in 1992? Liverpool, Arsenal, or Manchester United?
Oh, I want to say Liverpool.
Jason, who was it?
Scum.
Yeah. 1
It
point to
was.
Jason, Man United.
I just didn't think Fergie had been prepared in 1992.
Yeah. Right. Jace, which legendary Liverpool manager once managed Huddersfield Town? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't Jurgen Klopp.
Oh, that's it. It was Jace. It was.
Yeah, it was.
I know the answer, but it's on the. It's not Jock Stein, is it? It's the other one. It's Shankly. Bill Shankly.
No, he said Jock Stein.
No, I didn't say.
No, he said Jock Stein.
I said it's not.
Hang
Jock
on.
Stein. I said it's not. Jock
I'm
Stein.
going to throw it to the chat. I'm going to throw it to the chat. Right in the chat. Does Jason get that 2 points?
Fans in the chat.
Yeah, there's more Leeds fans.
No, that's not true. We've had some that have.
What?
I've got a Lincoln fan in here.
A West Ham fan.
Jock Stein.
Yeah, but you said it like that was your answer. You said it's definitely not Jock Stein.
I knew it was Shankly. I knew it was Shankly.
No, you didn't.
I did.
It's absolute.
I'm sorry. I've got to side with Steve on that. You threw a name out there, Jason. No, we just can't do
Brownie,
it.
what shirt are you wearing?
I know. I just can't. I'm sorry.
All I did was confirmation of the. All I've done is a bit like the guy.
Chat agree with me.
Did
No,
it? Oh,
chat,
hang on.
The,
Right,
the
well,
chat agree with me.
The chat's woken up there. He did not.
About
He did say
14
not
Leeds
Jack.
fans.
He did say not Jack. Give it to Jason. Give it
Who's
him.
Jack? It's Jock Stein anyway.
Jock.
Who the bloody hell's Jack Stein? Is he a Rangers fan?
I don't got my glasses on.
Give it him. Give it to Jason.
on.
MOT. Slightly biased there.
Yeah,
no, I'm sorry. Sorry, Jason. No, I can do it.
You put it to chat and then don't even listen to chat.
Chat's angry now. Chat's
going to be angry now. I know.
Cancel the show. Cancel it. Get it off.
Yeah, Chris Bell, it's his brother. Right, here we go. So what are we on now? Right, Steve, who was the Leeds United manager and the last English manager to win the top flight division in England?
Yeah, you tell him, Chris. You tell him, Chris.
What's his name? Howard Wilkinson.
Oh,
Correct.
yes.
Correct.
Well done, Steve.
I didn't know if Howard was his last name, so I was There
you go. Indeed. Can you believe that? The last English manager. And what year are we in? 2023?
We've not had an English manager win the Premier League. It's never happened.
it's never happened.
I can't believe it, can you? I mean, Keegan is the closest English manager, I think. God,
a Scots bloke's won it more time than an English one.
Right, Jason, you'll get back with this one, mate. So Huddersfield Town were the first English team to win 3 league titles in a row. True or false?
True.
I think you should ask
2
him
points.
I think you should ask him what he is, though, because I gave him that answer earlier on.
Yeah, you see, that's it. You see, fluffed it, mate. Ooh,
70 years ago.
I shouldn't have really put this question on, to be fair, because he's one of his biggest fans. I might have blown it there a little bit. Anyways, we'll see. We'll see how much Steve's been paying attention to our chats.
Probably not
Steve,
a lot.
Yeah. Which Leeds United player missed a vital spot kick for England in the 1998 World Cup match against Argentina?
My hero.
Yeah. Which former?
What's his name?
And by the way, what a player. Such an underrated player.
Most underrated player.
David Batty.
Yes. Well done.
Thank God for that. I was going to say David Bailey then, and he's a photographer from the 60s.
What a player.
Jason,
by the way, can I just interrupt there? I know a guy who owns one of these lodges things up at Flamborough near Scarborough, and whenever he goes stay up there, he always sees David Batty wandering about.
He loves fishing. He's just so away from it, innit? Like he doesn't have any involvement in football or just retired off into the distance. Fair play.
Just ace, and he's just love him. Jason, Huddersfield Town reached the 1994 Football League Trophy final, but who did they lose against? Macclesfield, Swansea, or Bury?
Oh.
Oh my word.
Oh.
Come on. I'm going to say purely because they're the most successful out of the three, Swansea.
Yes. Boom.
Educated guess again.
Yeah,
There you go. Wow. Fantastic.
It's when Swansea weren't very Swansea.
Yeah. Before the Rodgers Revolution.
Do you remember that League One side that Swansea had, though? They had a good team.
They didn't have Wayne Routledge in that.
Martinez and all that, wasn't it? Or
Yeah, a bit before Routledge, wasn't it? So like Lee Trundle and yeah.
Gary Monk was in that side, wasn't it?
Gary Monk, yeah. Alan Tate. Tate, remember him?
No, we're talking about quality footballers here, aren't we?
They play some good football, though. Andy Robinson before he signed for Leeds.
It's unfortunate one of them turned out to be an absolute swear word Leeds manager. Well, there we go.
He did.
Steve, Don Revie revamped Leeds United's kit to mirror Real Madrid's. Is that true or false?
This is like one of them mystery things, isn't it? I'm going to say true, but I'm very sceptical.
It
was
Yeah.
Absolutely true. Absolutely. God, you're racking up the point. You two now.
We were the original Real Madrid, though. So
yes, of course. Yes. This is the part where you say you help form Real Madrid now. Is that
no, I didn't say that. I'm just saying that we were compared to Real Madrid. If you look at local news agents at the time.
There you go.
What some guy said in Beeston like 8 years ago.
They won't be saying it in Beeston.
No, they won't be saying it in Beeston.
try home Firth or Golker or something.
Yeah, Melton.
Right, question 17, Jason. Who managed Huddersfield Town during their record-breaking 43 games unbeaten run?
Oh, this is a
2010, 2011 kind of year?
Yeah.
Can you remember?
2010, 2011.
You can picture him. You know you can. You can picture him.
Good question, this. I like this. This is going to test his old noggin, this.
I were what, like 20?
You were 20?
I'm 33.
Oh, yeah. I'm what? 6 years younger.
So League One
Mm.
got promoted. That team that got promoted, my word.
Don't give him clues.
Oh, this is a tricky one, though.
No, it's not.
It's not for you. You're an Huddersfield fan. That's totally different.
We were in the League One at the same time. So, Christ, if you don't know this.
Oh, I should be able to get this because I do have a bit of a nerdy football knowledge. So, and the second you tell me, I'll kick myself.
Look at him bigging himself. I'm a nerdy football knowledge.
I am.
We'll see where we are at the end with the points.
No, I've already been ripped out of winning by the host. So
no, you haven't. Stop being so bitter like a pill. Are we having a timer, Judge, or what's going on?
I can't see your face. So no, you go on. You're gonna have to give me it.
Right, go on, Steve.
You're not gonna have a guess. Let him have a guess. Please say Jurgen Klopp.
Kenny Jackett.
No.
Kenny Jackett's never managed Huddersfield in his life. It's Lee Clark.
Go on, Steve.
Lee Clark.
The old Geordie.
To be fair, I wouldn't have got there with Lee. I remember it clear as day now because I remember him playing against us, but I wouldn't have got there with Lee Clark. I was thinking older than that. I was thinking yeah.
He refused to speak to press against Oldham, just walked onto that bus and they all just left. One of his famous stories.
Steve, which former Derby manager was in charge of Leeds for just 44 days?
Oh, this is a difficult one, isn't it? This.
What is this?
Is it?
Well, no, do you know, listen, I tried to change that question because I had it written down as which former Derby Nottingham Forest manager. I don't think such a young gun. He won't know about it.
Which manager managed Huddersfield 13 years ago?
Right,
and then that.
Can I just say, right? I know this.
Not like they made a film about it or anything.
Well, I stayed in the hotel where they filmed that bit where he shines for Brighton, and it's on the seafront. I stay in the hotel. Well, I used to before it shut down. So yeah, it's Brian Clough. so big.
Brian Clough, it is indeed.
What a
It is
ridiculous
indeed.
kid.
By the way, I sat on the same buffet as Michael Sheen's backside has. So for me, I'm nearly as famous, to be honest.
Well, there you go. That's your claim to fame, innit, mate? There you go.
I've got a
Lovely.
few.
That's how you introduce yourself to Kevin, Big Kev. So,
That's how I introduced myself to my girlfriend. Now I know Michael Sheen intimately.
Jason, Huddersfield Town reached the UEFA Cup semi-final in 1968. True or false? True or false?
True.
No.
What are you on about, Jason? Are you having a laugh?
No.
Why did I say true? Because I know that
They've never seen Europe. They've been out of Yorkshire, barely.
Unfortunately, we were that inventory. They'd not invented European Cups before we.
My head's a shed now after the Brian Clough question.
Head's a shed.
Head's a shed.
You are a shed. Just because you see two questions, you go, "Oh, I'm a nerd, football knowledge." I'm just overtaking you.
He's gonna demand a re-quiz, I think.
Hey, we can have one.
Final question. It's just flown off my screen. Final question, Steve. Brazilian legend Pelé once played at Ellen Road against Leeds United when his team at the time, Santos, toured the UK. True or false?
I want to say false.
Yeah, it was false. It was false. Can you imagine? Yeah. Can you imagine? You nearly went for true. I could see.
I nearly did because I'm sure I've heard like Jackie Charlton say in one of his documentaries, because he got on with Pele or whatever. But yeah.
Do you both know?
Chat amongst yourselves, lads. I'm going to just tally up.
Do you both know the story of the Brazilian legend Socrates turning up in West Yorkshire?
No.
Is that for Harrogate? Did he play for Harrogate?
No, he signed for Garforth Town.
Oh, Garforth,
and he played one senior game for Garforth and then retired right at the end of his career. It's a true story. Like he literally played for
We're like 50 or something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Was he a doctor? You were a doctor, wasn't
Yeah.
Don't know. Yeah, I think that's his nickname, actually. Yeah, come to say.
He went on to become a doctor. He was like one of the brainiest people in football before Clark Carlisle. So
Clark Carlisle.
He won University Challenge or something.
Yeah,
like that,
very smart guy. Very, very smart guy. Had some rough years, hadn't he?
Yeah, well,
alcoholism and.
If you just see, I think you missed that bit where I told me university story where I interviewed him. So.
Oh really?
Go back in the chat. It's very interesting. You should
share that with me sometime.
Have a scroll.
Okay, guys. Final scores then.
I've won.
Jason, 12. Steve Downes, 19.
You see, even though he'd got that, he was moaning about that other question. And we'll give him them 2 points then.
There's about a 6 point swing, Steve. Like the two that I got, the two that you wouldn't have got now. And
when it's
quiz,
the picture, should we do a new quiz? I'll try and balance. I'll
try
and make them balanced out more.
Yeah, but I don't.
That was good fun. Though I enjoyed it.
I don't want Jason to be thinking that he wouldn't have had a chance if he hadn't got them 2 points about the answer that about Jock Stein. He did say Shankly, so we'll make it 14, 19-14.
Oh, look! You're giving him pity points now.
That's fine.
Don't take his pity points, Jason.
Nah, I'm not taking it. Stuff your pity points, Steve.
Good stuff. Well, I think we've just run out of time.
It's been a good chat. Let me just, before we finish, I don't know, we're skipping back a few pages, but you, I'm assuming that you wouldn't have seen, maybe some of the chat have, but Jorginho Rutter has put on his Instagram a collation of his Hoffenheim highlights and then put on a picture of him in the Hoffenheim kit with the Hoffenheim banner along the back. So I don't know whether that means anything or nothing, but
oh God, can you? I think if he ends up going back there,
there was whispers about a loan move.
Oh
yeah,
God. What a season! What a season it's been.
He didn't want to be at Leeds anyway. You're getting rid of one of your big earners. I'd clap him. If I were you, I'd clap that Instagram post off. Me, it'd be brilliant.
It's a tough one though, isn't it? Because we need some players. Like we can't have 18 new players come through the door and hope that we're going to be successful. There's got to be some sort of continuity. And with Jorginho, his value is so depleted right now. Sending sending him back to Hoffenheim for a year is not going to help the situation. There is some player in there, so we might as well use him in the Championship at 30k a week rather than 60k a week because he's going to be on 50% wages. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a bit of a mess. What's going on? But yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up before we're finished.
Well,
we will obviously have interesting chats to come out of Kevin Nagel's press conference tomorrow.
We will.
I'm not sure I'm not sure if you're joining, but I think some of us are planning to join. I'm definitely going, so I'm excited.
Some of us have a Lincoln persuasion might be surfacing in there. So we'll wait and see. Hopefully, we can get some of it on the channel as well. That's fingers crossed for that as well, which would be amazing. But yeah, tune back in for that. Please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more content on Huddersfield Town, Leeds United, and all the rest. I've been Stephen Brown. Joining me has been Jayson Booker. Jayson, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you.
Steve, always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Made it even better that I beat Jayson in the quiz. So
you had to do it, didn't you, Brownie?
I know. I've messed up. I regret it. I know.
It'd have been so much better for content purposes if every question of mine had just been piss easy and every one of Steve's would have been horrendous.
This is what I love.
The next one we do, I promise.
Leeds fans falling out with each other. It's brilliant. Makes mine night. A drink of whiskey to that, boys.
You see, I've just proven I'm unbiased. Come on, at least I'm unbiased. Come on. There we go. All right. Thanks very much, guys. And we'll be back next time. Thanks for watching.